Hey everyone, hope you all are doing well. If this is your first time here, then welcome. So I'm going to be talking to you all about my myomectomy experience. If you have been a viewer on my channel that's watched a lot of my videos over the past few years, then you know that my fibroids that I've been dealing with since, I don't know when they actually popped up, but I've been feeling the effects of them since like 2018. So they have been a pain, literally and figuratively. I got my surgery 24 days ago at the time that I'm filming this video. So I'm gonna be letting you know how things went, the healing process from the perspective of someone who has had a lifelong extreme fear of surgery and medical stuff. So to say that I am so relieved that all of that is done, knock on wood, because these heifers better not come back. The amount of worry and tears that I've had thinking about this process and weighing my different options, just the turmoil has been just not a fun time. So I have a full video before I got my surgery detailing how I found out about my fibroids, the symptoms, the different options that they presented me, and what I was thinking of based on like my life in general as far as like having kids and all that stuff. So I'll link that video in the eye above where we get into the nitty-gritty of those fibroids. We're gonna be getting into like all the warts and all of this. So I'm not gonna be shying away from details. So just in case you're squeamish about like blood or surgery stuff or pain and healing video included, just wanted to mention that the fibroids that I had were making my periods just completely miserable. But yeah, I would stand up and blood would just be running down my legs. And being that I've had my period since I was 10, I am well versed in how to prepare and take care of myself when I'm on my period, but this was a whole nother beast. In addition to that, my iron got incredibly low. I was tired all the time for the past few years. Like even when I wasn't on my period, I just had this general like layer of exhaustion that was always just on the periphery of just doing everyday tasks. I could sleep for like 11 hours and it wouldn't feel like enough when I woke up. Where my biggest fibroid was, I would feel this swelling and this pressure, and it got to the point these past few months before the surgery where I would be walking and I would literally feel the fibroid inside like jostling and moving. It was such a weird alien experience. It felt so uncomfortable. It was 5 times the size of my uterus, so my poor uterus was just like hanging on with that thing just like on the side of it. So in like the fibroid scale of things, that is considered a very large fibroid. I mentioned in my video where I go into all the nitty-gritty that my fibroid was bigger than a can of soda. So something like, I don't know, this big pretty much was just like hanging out right here. I also had a slightly smaller one that they considered a mid-sized one, and that one was going to turn into a problem, I'm sure, kind of following in its big sister's footsteps eventually. And then they found a surprise fibroid during the surgery, so I had 3 total, 2 that I knew about, not to mention my bladder. You guys, I would have to pee all the time. Sometimes I would not make it to the bathroom because my poor bladder was fighting for its life with that freaking fibroid just like pressed on it. A myomectomy is where the uterus is left intact to preserve fertility, and they just removed the fibroids. So I opted for that option even though I did not want to get surgery. And really, besides me deciding on whether to have kids, it was affecting my day-to-day life so much. This is my surgery hair that I have been telling you guys about. If you are subscribed to my channel, I put my hair in these little tiny twists so that I wouldn't have to worry about it for the duration of my healing period, and they have just done a fantastic job. I did them a month ago from today actually, and they still look pretty good. I just added a little moisturizing spray to them. I was gonna take them out because they're starting to get a little frizzy on top, but they still look good and they still feel so freaking awesome. So I highly recommend, if you're gonna be getting surgery, if you're gonna be giving birth, if you're doing anything where you just don't want to deal with your hair for a while because you're focusing on something else, a low tension protective style where you don't have to really worry about your hair, you can just focus on whatever you have going on in your life. And not only that, I've talked about it in my past few videos this summer all about my hair. This style has made my hair so much healthier this summer in just a short amount of time. So as someone whose hair likes to tangle, if I look at it, not having to worry about it while I was healing and recovering has been just amazing. This one seems pretty obvious, but I want to mention it just in case. You are going to want your softest, easiest to pull on clothes while you are recovering. So for example, I've not been able to wear jeans since before my surgery. They are too stiff. They really hurt and squeeze my tummy, and those areas that are still bruised very, very uncomfortable. I need super soft joggers that are oversized that I can just pull up. Night dresses to sleep in. I've been rocking a lot of skirts lately, a lot of dresses that are just easy. They don't irritate or are really tight around my midsection. Soft, easy to pull on clothes have been key. In those first few days, you can just get some muumuus, some house dresses to where you just have to put them over your head. You don't have to pull any like pants or shorts up. Now that I'm over 3 weeks out, I have a much easier time pulling up pants and stuff like that, but still no jeans. But yeah, that first week and a half, the little easy soft house dresses have just been super, super clutch. And my mom got me some little like disposable little diaper situation. So now I'm gonna get into the run through of the surgery on through the healing process and today. So they had me go get blood work prior to the surgery in case I needed a blood transfusion, which was terrifying to hear that that was a possibility. Also had the bonus of now I know what my blood type is. I did not know for my whole life, now I do. But I've since found out since my surgery that's kind of like a standard practice for any type of surgery where you're being cut open, even if it's pretty minimal, as myomectomy is considered a minimally invasive procedure. A little preview. The laparoscopic procedure is where they make small cuts to get in there and remove those fibroids. I had 4 cuts total, 1, 2, one in my belly button, which I was really, really sad about because prior to the surgery, if you guys saw my video where I was talking about the fibroids, I showed my tummy as it looked pre-surgery because I have this thing about scars. Like, y'all, my brain is weird, but I don't like having scars. My whole thing is like, I want to try to leave this world as close to my body as far as like scarring not being there as possible. I know that scars mean like you've lived life, things have happened and stuff. So whenever I get a scar, I'm just like, oh, the skin here is never gonna look the same. It's a weird thing, but it's my thing. It's one of the things that just my brain likes to do. But I was kind of like mourning the loss of how my tummy looked prior to surgery because it won't look like that again. So even if the scars fade, they're always going to be there a little bit. So I was really worried about my belly button because I liked my belly button prior to surgery, and I do notice that since they went in it, it feels different. Like I feel like some raised tissue from where they like sewed me back up. But overall, I think that they did a very good job. So 1, 2 in here, and then 3, 4 on the side. I know that a lot of you have recommended things I can do to decrease scarring, including using Neosporin and like little silicone patches. I'm going to be doing both of those things since I did get the green light. So it's Thursday today, had my post-op on Monday. Everything went great. We're going to get to it. So we showed up to the hospital super early, had to be there at 5 in the morning. My mom and my boyfriend went with me while I was being prepped and just to see me off before they wheeled me down the hallway. So because I was having a laparoscopic myomectomy and it was robot assisted, for some reason that means I had to have 2 IVs, and I had just had my blood work done, so my poor arm had already been through it. And I'm also very, very scared of shots. Pretty much anything medical, you guys. I'm not a fan at all, but you know, if it can keep me asleep and from feeling anything. So my nurse was super, super nice. Before I got my IVs, I had to change. I got into a gown where there was nothing underneath. My booty was out. That was fun. I accidentally flashed everyone when I went to the bathroom before the surgery. And before changing into the gown, I had to wipe my body down with these like very high concentration antiseptic wipes. I had to use 1 wipe for each part of my body. So I think there were 6 wipes total, and it was like arms, legs, the tummy area where they were going to be doing the surgery, and then I think it was my back, which was a little hard to get to. They warn you not to apply the wipes to any intimate areas because it can burn. And speaking of cleansing, the day of the surgery, they told me either the night before or the day of to use this. I purchased this from Walmart. This is the, I'm gonna butcher this, Cleanse. This is a antiseptic skin cleanser. This is also going super viral on TikTok. A lot of dermatologists are saying this is good for butt acne, folliculitis, a few other skin conditions as far as like keeping your skin really clear. And people are warning though to not use this all the time. And then some comments, people say they use it every day, but this is another one where they warn do not get it into any intimate areas. So when I use this, it said to wet my body down and then turn the shower off. Apply this very thoroughly, especially concentrating on the area where they're going to be doing the surgery and cutting. Kind of let it sit for 5 minutes and then rinse it off. And I would be curious to use this for my skincare, except you see this red color? That is courtesy of our not friend Red 40, which has been linked to so many health concerns and issues. But after hearing about the benefits of this from dermatologists, I was curious, but I do not like that Red 40. So I might use it like once a month to limit my exposure. And then I heard that CVS, I think, has a version of this that is clear with no Red 40. So if I like the results that I get get from using this for like once a month, then maybe I'll pick that up. So not sure, but this is what the little box looks like. I think this was under like 10 bucks, which I think was like expensive for this, because I heard that some hospitals just give it to you. But after I changed it to my gown, she did my freaking IVs, we were done with that. It was just nice to sit with my family and like talk and kind of just relax with them before everything started. I think that before they wheeled me back, I met like 7 different people. I met the anesthesiologist, very happy to meet him. I was worried about being put to sleep, so seeing that he like seemed to be on his A game and knew his stuff made me happy. Plus he was wearing a cute little Luigi scrub hat, which was fun. So he was really cool. So I met him, talked to my surgeon, of course. A few different residents came in to tell me just to say hi. 3 nurses, I think they gave me 2 types of relaxation medication in my IV before wheeling me back. One I think was like to take the edge off, and one was to make me all like, ooh, like the one they're like, this is the good one. And a few seconds after they put that in my IV, I could immediately feel things getting like kind of wavy. But I was freaking out a little bit because they gave me a play-by-play of what was gonna happen. So they were like, okay, we're gonna give you that medicine, then we're gonna wait a little bit and take you back to surgery. But then they gave me that medication and they were ready to wheel me back right then. So I like looked at my mom and boyfriend all frantic, like, oh no, it's too soon, it's happening. So we did our hugs and love yous, and I was like, oh my God, this is happening. I was like under my good drugs, but I could still feel that like nervousness. Maybe for some people it totally chills them out, but I already have anxiety, so I think mine was just, it was a lot. So they wheeled me into the OR. I'm like seeing all the big lights and like all the stuff I've seen from medical dramas over the years. They moved me from my initial hospital bed to the surgery bed, and I was like, oh my God. And I don't know when it happened because they didn't tell me to count back or anything, but all of a sudden I was waking up in the recovery room. Like, I don't remember anyone giving me any more medicine or anything. I think they just told me, I think someone said to me, you're gonna be fine, or you're gonna do great or something. And then I just woke up. I felt super groggy. The recovery room sucked, by the way. I for some reason thought it was just a room to myself. I thought the lights were gonna be dimmed and just a nice like gentle getting you out of your post anesthesia stupor, but no, it was super loud. People were talking about random stuff. The lights were on, which really hurt. So there was no curtain or anything, no privacy. I'm just sitting there looking like my head was hurting, and just hearing the constant chatter was just not fun. I wanted to go home. I was over it. I think I sat there for maybe like an hour. There's a freaking wasp. Go away. I don't know how long I sat there, but it felt like forever. So you have to pee first before they let you go home, I guess, to make sure like everything's working down there. She had to help me into a wheelchair to get to the restroom, and y'all, peeing sucked so bad. That was one of my biggest post-surgery, like, this is horrible experiences. And just this week, over 20 days since surgery, is where peeing feels like okay and not painful. So then we get home, I got something from Tropical Smoothie Cafe to eat, something just a little bit light, and I didn't have an appetite for the first like 3 or 4 days. It took me 2 days just to eat my little wrap and drink my smoothie, but I just wasn't hungry in any way, shape, or form. They gave me 3 different pain relievers, a really strong one, as well as Tylenol and Advil, I think, to alternate between the 2 of them. And I think after day 4 I stopped taking pain medication. I only took the Oxy maybe the first 2 days. I didn't want to take that past that because it's so strong. Once I felt like, yeah, this really hurts, but I can manage it, I didn't do the pain medication anymore, so I could pay attention more to how it was healing and feeling day by day as far as the pain goes. But yeah, those first 2 days were rough, you guys. I was so tired. I also had a sore throat from the breathing tube that they put down my throat during surgery. They warned me that was a possibility, but that was gone after like the first 2 days. I stayed with my mom the first 5 days after surgery, and I'm really glad that I did. I'd only planned to stay there for 2 days, but I really needed her. She was able to help me when I was going to the restroom because, as I mentioned, peeing was bad. Like, even just sitting down on the toilet, you guys, hurt so bad, especially like right in this area and off to the side. Getting into bed hurt. Like, just the general bruising of my abdomen and like lower belly was rough. And you don't realize how much you use your abdomen in those areas just for simple things until you've had surgery. Trying to sleep was horrible. I'm a side sleeper, so because I had 2 incisions on my side, it was pretty impossible for me to sleep on my side until the last week or so comfortably. I'm not a back sleeper, so it was really uncomfortable. When I asked you guys on my community page about things I could do to help speed up healing, one of the comments that stood out to me a lot was someone told me that even though it's gonna hurt, it's gonna suck, to try to walk around and move around even the day of surgery and a little bit each day. So day 2, I walked with my mom and boyfriend run up to the little corner store, and that was probably too much because on day 3 I was in a lot of pain and I was so exhausted. I slept for pretty much the whole day. Oh, I also, how did I forget this? I did not expect the amount of bleeding after the surgery because it takes place on your abdomen, right? It doesn't take place downtown. So I was not expecting there to be so much blood. The first time that I peed after the surgery at the hospital, I don't remember, I didn't look if there was blood. I feel like there was, because I was still in my like little haze. So I think there was. Every day it was pretty much like a regular period, but I'm pretty sure that it's probably just like the little liquefied bits of fibroid and maybe just like uterine lining that was already there coming out. It was just something I had not planned on. They hadn't mentioned to me that it was going to be basically like having a period after surgery. We didn't talk about that at all during the pre-op. They did say in my post-op paperwork that that was totally normal. So having those little disposable diaper situations, my mom actually got me a size up, which was good because my tummy was still really bloated, and it was so much better, and I hadn't to worry about real underwear or pads or anything because I just had those little things. Throw them away and keep it moving. Speaking of the bloating after surgery, I did not fart for like the first 5 days, and that bloating from the air that's still, because they put air in your belly, I believe, to kind of expand and give them room to actually do the surgery so your organs aren't all bunched up. See, thinking about that would have probably made me cancel it, but now that I'm on the other side, I can talk about it so much easier. But yeah, they expand your belly with air so they can get to your organs and get to the fibroid and hopefully miss all the important stuff. So I still had that air in there. That's another reason they recommend walking around after surgery to try to get that air out. And my best friend actually had his gallbladder removed, and he had a horrible time with the air in his belly afterwards. He was miserable. So I just wanted to fart so bad. I also didn't poop for like the first, I don't know, week or so, maybe first like 7 or 8 days. It was a long time, so that was also incredibly uncomfortable. The first time I farted, you guys, I told everyone. I was so excited, so happy. It was like finally getting some relief. You guys, that first poop was amazing. I also wrote down my symptoms each day, how I was feeling, things I noticed, so that when I went to my post-op appointment, if anything came up, I would have like a snapshot that I could refer to. As well as for this video, I want this to be super detailed. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I'm a very like more details and information the better type of person. That calms me down, especially when it comes to something scary that I don't want to do, like surgery. So I'm hoping that so far this video has been helpful. In addition to sitting and laying down being really painful, I was also really scared to cough or sneeze. I coughed. Oh, they recommended in my post-op paperwork that I try to cough because it's supposed to be good for blood circulation as well as clearing my lungs and helping with healing. But you guys, that first time I coughed, even just a baby cough, hurt so bad that I was terrified to cough for those first few days. I would do it involuntarily because my throat still hurt a little bit from the breathing tube, and just because I'd be thirsty. I felt like I was gonna like break a stitch or something. And I noticed that I had a big bruise right here, like right around my rib cage, and I think that's from people like handling me after the surgery, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw me naked that day, which I was retroactively embarrassed about because I'm very shy. But I know they see like a ton of naked people all the time, so to them it's like a normal Tuesday, but for me I was like, oh my god. I still feel a little bit of bruising right here, even though I can't see it anymore because it's faded. I had my surgery on a Tuesday, and by Friday I was starting to get a lot of itching where the bandages were placed over my incisions. I removed the big bandages when it was time for me to take my first shower, and I avoided the shower getting on my incisions as the doctor instructed me to. I had a ton of glue that took forever to come off. I think the glue for the most part finally is all gone from my tummy, but like that stuff was built strong to last long. It was rough. So I took off the initial bandages, and then I had little bandages, little steri strips that were supposed to stay on and just let them fall off naturally. Like, don't pick at them, don't do anything, because I had internal stitching that was going to dissolve, and then I had the steri strips kind of holding the incisions together. This is 11 days post-surgery. Here's that bruise I was telling you guys about, the little steri strips that are over my incisions. My tummy was still very bruised and uncomfortable at this point. Not a good time. This is around 18 days post-surgery. The bruising is starting to fade, especially the one that was on my rib cage here, Much, much better. You can barely see it at that point. My scars themselves are not quite as raised as they were when I first took the bandages off. Still a lot of pain in this area around this point, and finally some of the adhesive from the bandages was finally starting to come off too. My belly button was looking a little Frankenstein-y, but you know, I was like, let me just trust the process, trust the process. And then that last incision on the side here. And I'm so happy that tape is finally off, you guys. It was getting on my nerves and it hurt whenever I tried to get it off in the shower. Here's what my tummy looks like 24 days post-surgery. There's been a huge decrease in the constant bloated look that I had prior to having the fibroids removed. Here's how the healing is going. My 2 incisions right here. Before, I had this giant bruise. I think when I updated you guys about 2 weeks ago, that's gone. I have like maybe a little light bruising around each one, but overall it looks much, much better. My belly button, where I had another incision, a little light bruising still here, and my last incision on the side here. They're a little bit raised, but it's gone down a lot since the bandages came off, and I'm hoping that eventually the incisions will be smooth, just like I'm just touching the rest of my skin. Still a little tender if I press on them, so I try not to do that, and still not super fun getting out of bed in the morning. I have a lot of pain, especially on this side and right here. By Monday, 6 days after surgery, that pee feeling has started to get a little bit better. It still wasn't fun. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the unexpected weight loss that I've had. I knew that I would have a decrease of the kind of like bloating that I would have from the fibroid, because I'm literally having this like giant soccer ball sized thing removed from my lower belly. But since the surgery, I've lost 16 pounds. That was unexpected for it to be that much in such a small amount of time. So as I mentioned, I had my post-op this Monday, and my surgeon said that everything went awesome. He actually gave me like a whole little printout of them doing like a play-by-play of everything that happened through my surgery. It went from them putting me to sleep all the way to the first and last cut and like sewing me up and all that. It was so weird to read it, but my goal is to never have fibroids again if I can help it. So I'm definitely gonna be making some lifestyle choices, exercising more, cleaning up my diet, because I am a chip and ice cream girly for breakfast type of person. So that was one of the main things that I asked in my post-op. What can I do to help prevent fibroids in the future? And I brought up the diet and exercise, and surprisingly he said there hasn't really been any research to support that diet and exercise has an effect on whether you get fibroids or not. So he said that since I've had fibroids, I am more susceptible to them coming back than someone who's never had them before. So just kind of keep an eye out for those initial signs that my period might be changing, stuff like that. I am on the later half of my 30s, so I don't know how long the time frame is going to be for me even menstruating in general, but I will definitely be keeping an eye out for the type of things that kind of alerted me that something was different when I found out about the first and hopefully only round of fibroids that I had previously. But even though he said the research doesn't support it, I'm still going to be making those lifestyle changes, because they can only help, not only for hopefully preventing any more fibroids from coming, but also just in general, I want to take better care of myself. He checked on my incisions. He was super happy with how I was healing. He said I was doing great. My fallopian tubes and ovaries were not affected or touched at all during the process. They did warn me that that was a possibility, which was another thing I was scared about. Speaking of fertility, this man, he said, he was like, I know I met your partner, and I don't know if you all have decided on if you're going to have kids, but due to your age and because the fibroids can come back, I would recommend, if you decide to have kids, doing it sooner rather than later. And he said you can start in 4 to 6 months, sir. He said do it if you're gonna do it, basically. And for someone like me who is, that is a huge, to say that's a huge decision is an understatement, but for someone like me who is still on the fence, having that time clock really sucks. So I'm thinking of surrogacy and egg retrieval and all these things, and if I even want to have kids. So being a woman is so many decisions. I wanted to leave the door open just in case, which is why I opted for the myomectomy. I thanked him for doing such a good job, and he said before like we left, I'll know I did a good job if you were able to have a successful pregnancy. I was like, oh, okay. you still did a really good job even if I decide not to have kids. One thing with that though, they did warn me that if I do become pregnant in the future, that 9 times out of 10 I'll have to have a C-section because my uterus has been weakened from having the myomectomy. It's been damaged a little bit to a certain extent because of that. So pretty much a C-section is almost guaranteed, which is terrifying because my best friend's wife had to have a C-section and she did not have a good time. I'm really excited to feel 100% better, be able to enjoy being out in nature again, not having to pee all the time or worry about blood soaking through my clothes. So overall, I'm really happy I went through with the surgery. I'm hoping to fade these scars. So I think that's everything. I have my little notes and stuff, so I hope I didn't miss anything. I hope this incredibly detailed video was helpful to you if you are someone like many of us who has fibroids and is weighing your options. You're not alone. I was researching so many like natural options before finally settling on surgery because just due to the size of mine, there were no castor oil packs that were going to help. There were no teas that were going to help. So I'm happy that I went with the surgical option so that I know they're gone and I'm going to do my best to prevent them from coming back. So if you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel overall and for more people to discover this video, and hopefully it can help them as well. Likewise, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I upload videos every Friday with some short form content in the meantime, in between time. I just posted a really cute, relaxing short of all the cute clouds that I saw on my flight home back from Maine. I even saw a rainbow in the cloud. It was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, just random videos like that, whatever kind of pops into my head. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.